Welcome, esteemed gentlemen. Respect is earned, honesty is appreciated, trust is gained, and loyalty is returned. But disrespect? That'll get you shown the door fast. Sigma males are the masters of their own domain, solitary, self-reliant, and utterly unbothered by the noise of the crowd. But don't mistake their calm demeanor for endless patience. Even the most laid-back Sigma has his breaking point, and the habits that drive him up the wall aren't always the ones you'd expect. Research even suggests that highly independent personalities like Sigmas are twice as likely to cut ties when they feel their values are under siege. It's not just a peeve, it's a hardline boundary. Now, if you're picturing a guy snapping over a slight delay or an awkward social interaction, think bigger. We're talking about the things that truly get under his skin, the habits that push his buttons in a way that makes him rethink the entire conversation. And let's face it, you don't want to be the person who manages to unravel someone who usually keeps his cool. So, ready to find out what makes a Sigma male grit his teeth, or better yet, plot a hasty exit? Let's dive in, because trust me, some of these habits might surprise you. Number 1, forget his name? You've just lost all credibility. Forgetting a Sigma male's name might seem like a small mistake, but to him, it's a signal that you didn't care enough to pay attention. He's not the kind of guy who craves being the center of attention, but he certainly notices when someone dismisses the basics of respect. Forgetting his name feels like a slap in the face because it means you overlooked something so fundamental. It tells him that you didn't see him as significant enough to remember, which, in his eyes, says volumes about how much you value the connection. And it's not just about the name itself, it's the principle behind it. A Sigma prides himself on being observant, aware of the details that others often miss. When he notices you didn't catch his name, he sees a lack of effort on your part. To him, it's a sign that you're not present in the interaction, that you're already checked out. It's like starting a conversation with a minus point, making him question if there's any point in continuing it at all. He knows that remembering someone's name isn't rocket science. It's about showing a basic level of respect and attentiveness. If you couldn't take that small step, he's already wondering how many other details you're willing to ignore. And for someone who values depth and authenticity in all his interactions, this feels like a betrayal of the unwritten rules of respect. He doesn't need grand gestures, but if you can't even be bothered with the basics, he'll lose interest quicker than you can try to correct your mistake. So, while some people might brush off this slip-up to a Sigma male, it's a glaring red flag. It tells him that you're not someone he can trust to see him, let alone understand him, on any deeper level. At number 2, being chronically late, a sign of disrespect. For a Sigma male, time isn't just a commodity, it's a measure of respect and self-management. When someone shows up chronically late, it feels like a personal affront, a clear indication that they don't value the minutes ticking away. He sees punctuality as a reflection of one's character and reliability. If you can't manage to arrive on time, it sends the message that you don't consider him or the plans you've made important enough to honor. This perception can create a rift faster than you can say fashionably late. For him, being consistently late reveals more than just a lack of organization. It suggests a deeper disregard for his time and commitments. Each moment spent waiting feels like a wasted opportunity, a frustrating reminder that his time is being squandered by someone who isn't taking things seriously. The Sigma male has little patience for this kind of behavior. He values efficiency and the ability to stick to schedules, so when someone fails to meet that standard, it signals to him that they're not worth his time. He understands that life happens. Traffic jams and unexpected delays are part of the equation. But chronic lateness implies a lack of accountability and self-awareness. If someone can't respect the agreed-upon time, he questions their reliability and commitment. He'd much rather invest his energy in relationships where mutual respect for time is paramount. This isn't just about him waiting around in frustration. It's about the principle behind the action. Time is one of the few resources he can't get back. When someone consistently disregards it, he's likely to reevaluate the relationship and consider whether it's worth his while. In a world where he seeks meaningful connections, a person who's chronically late simply doesn't fit the bill. Respecting his time is crucial, otherwise he'll quickly move on, leaving behind those who can't keep pace with his values. Number 3. Constant interruptions, the fastest way to lose his respect. Interrupting a Sigma male mid-sentence is like trying to hit pause on a song before it even hits the chorus. He's the kind of guy who speaks with intention. No fluff, no filler, just straight to the point. When you cut him off, it's like telling him that what he's saying isn't worth your time. And trust me, he'll remember it. He's not one for wasting words. So when he's sharing something, it's usually because he's thought it through. Cutting in before he's finished? Well, that's a fast-track ticket to him tuning you out. To a Sigma male, every interruption feels like a loud reminder that the conversation isn't really about a genuine exchange. It's about who can talk louder, faster, or more often. And he has zero interest in turning a meaningful conversation into a competitive sport. It's not just annoying. It's a sign that you're more focused on what you have to say than on actually listening. If he wanted to talk over people, he'd be hanging out with the loudest person in the room, not trying to share a thought with you. This doesn't mean he's looking for a silent audience. Far from it. He appreciates when someone challenges his ideas, but he values timing. Let him finish his thought, then bring yours to the table. It's a matter of respect, and if he feels you don't have that, he's not going to stick around. And let's be honest, if you keep jumping in while he's talking, he's probably already thinking about how much more peaceful it'd be to have this conversation alone. So if you want to see the quickest way to make a Sigma male mentally check out, keep cutting him off. He'll get the message that you're not here for a conversation, just for a monologue. And he's got better things to do than compete for airtime. At number 4, commitment issues? Don't expect him to stick around. Not following through is a sure way to lose a Sigma male's respect. He's the type who values integrity above almost everything else. When someone says they'll do something, he expects them to mean it. To him, your word is your bond, and breaking that bond shows a lack of reliability. It's not about being perfect. He understands that life happens, plans change, and sometimes things don't work out. But consistently failing to follow through, that's a different story. It feels like a breach of trust, and a clear signal that you might be more talk than action. Sigma males don't have time for empty promises. They're all about results, consistency, and seeing things through to the end. So when someone makes plans or commitments and then bails, it disrupts their sense of order and efficiency. It's frustrating because it means he now has to adjust his expectations, often picking up the slack himself. And let's be real. If he has to count on you, but you're unreliable, he'll quickly decide that it's easier to count on himself. It's also a respect thing. When you don't follow through, it feels like you don't value his time or effort. He's careful with his commitments and expects the same in return. If he makes plans, he sticks to them, and he appreciates others who do the same. Flaking out or being inconsistent sends the message that your word doesn't hold weight. And for someone who prides himself on being true to his word, this lack of accountability feels like a slap in the face. At the end of the day, a Sigma male respects people who show up and do what they say they'll do. If you're someone who constantly leaves loose ends, he'll lose patience fast. He's more likely to walk away than waste time wondering if this time you'll actually follow through. Number 5, phone zombies are a waste of his time. Being glued to your phone around a Sigma male is a surefire way to get on his nerves. He sees it as the ultimate display of disengagement, being present physically but mentally checked out. When someone's constantly scrolling through their feed or endlessly texting, it sends a clear message. Whatever's on that screen is more important than the real-life moment you're sharing. And for a Sigma, that's a deal breaker. He values authenticity and real connections, so watching someone prioritize the digital world over a face-to-face conversation feels like a waste of time. Sigma males are known for their ability to focus deeply, and they expect that same level of presence from those they choose to spend time with. Being around a phone zombie feels like they're in a one-sided interaction, where they're making the effort to engage while the other person is somewhere else entirely, mentally at least. It's more than just a distraction, it's a lack of respect. When he's having a conversation, he's all in, and seeing you constantly glancing down at your phone makes him wonder if you even care about what's being said. It's not that he hates technology, he's not living off the grid, but he knows there's a time and place for it. And when you can't set your phone down for even a few minutes, it makes him question whether you're capable of deeper interactions at all. He's not interested in competing with a screen for your attention, and he won't stick around long enough to try. For him, real conversations happen face to face, without the constant ding of notifications interrupting the flow. If he feels like he's competing with your phone, he'll cut his losses. After all, he'd rather be alone than feel like he's having a conversation with someone who's only half listening. Number 6. Turning up the volume in quiet spaces. Speaking loudly in private settings is one of those habits that gets under a Sigma male's skin quickly. He's all about subtlety, preferring to blend into the background rather than make a scene. When someone starts raising their voice in a quiet place, like a cozy cafe or during a deep conversation, it feels like nails on a chalkboard to him. It's not just about the noise, it's the lack of awareness and the disregard for the environment around them. To him, it shows a lack of consideration for others, a disregard for the atmosphere, and a craving for attention that he finds completely unnecessary. He's the type who believes that a person's presence shouldn't overwhelm a room. It should enrich it. He doesn't get why anyone would want to draw that kind of attention to themselves, especially when the situation calls for calm. If you're speaking so loudly that everyone around is forced to tune into your conversation, it feels like an intrusion into a space that was meant to be shared peacefully. It's not that he's shy, he just respects the boundaries of social settings, and he expects others to do the same. For a Sigma, there's also a deeper frustration here. It disrupts the flow of genuine connection. He's there to focus on what matters, and loud, unnecessary chatter cuts right through that. It makes him feel like the person is more interested in being heard than in actually listening. He's looking for meaningful conversations, the kind that don't need to be shouted to be understood. In the end, he's not going to bother asking someone to tone it down. He'll simply choose to distance himself, opting for a quieter environment where he can think clearly and engage without the noise. If you want to make a good impression, you're better off matching his calm vibe than turning the volume up. Number 7. Slow walkers in his path, the ultimate test of patience. Walking slowly in front of a Sigma male is one of those small things that can drive him up the wall. He's always got a sense of purpose, a rhythm to his steps, and he moves with intention. Whether he's heading to a meeting, grabbing a coffee, or just trying to get through the day, he values efficiency. When someone strolls lazily in front of him, blocking his path, it feels like an unnecessary obstacle in his otherwise streamlined approach to life. It's not just about the pace, it's the interruption of his flow, the feeling that his momentum is being dragged down by someone who's not in a hurry. To a Sigma, time is a precious resource, and wasting it on something as simple as getting around slow walkers feels like nails on a chalkboard. It's not that he's always in a rush, he just likes to keep things moving at his own pace. He's someone who thrives on momentum, on getting things done without unnecessary delays. So when he finds himself stuck behind someone taking their sweet time, it's like a reminder of everything he tries to avoid: inefficiency, lack of direction, and being forced to adapt to a pace that isn't his. It's not about impatience for the sake of it. He's happy to take his time when the moment calls for it, like during a thoughtful conversation or a walk through nature. But in the everyday grind, when he's got places to be and ideas to chase, he finds it frustrating when others don't match that energy. He'd rather find a way around and keep moving than stay stuck behind someone with nowhere to be. If you're strolling aimlessly in front of him, don't be surprised if he slips past you at the first opportunity, ready to reclaim his stride and get back to his own pace. Number 8. Pretending to know it all and failing miserably. Pretending to know it all around a Sigma male is a quick route to embarrassment. He's perceptive and values depth and authenticity in conversations. When someone tries to impress him with surface-level knowledge, it's like playing a game of chess with a novice. He can see the moves before they even happen. The moment you start throwing around facts that barely scratch the surface, he's tuned out, mentally rolling his eyes at the effort you're making to seem smarter than you actually are. To him, There's nothing more cringeworthy than someone confidently spouting half-baked information, hoping to catch his admiration. He appreciates intellect and thoughtfulness, so if you're just regurgitating what you read in a tweet or saw on a meme, he'll see right through it. It's not that he expects everyone to be an expert, but he does expect genuine curiosity and honesty. He wants to engage with someone who's willing to admit when they don't know something, not someone who's just playing a part to save face. This isn't about gatekeeping knowledge. It's about valuing authenticity over bravado. A Sigma male thrives on real conversations where ideas are exchanged, challenged and explored deeply. If you're more interested in posturing than engaging, he'll quickly lose interest, viewing you as just another face in the crowd, rather than a potential companion in intellectual exploration. In his world, it's better to say, "I don't know much about that, but I'd love to learn," than to fake it and risk sounding foolish. He respects honesty and will be far more impressed by someone who embraces their curiosity than someone who tries to pretend they have all the answers. In the end, trying to impress him with superficial knowledge not only fails miserably, but also reveals a lack of self-awareness that he finds utterly unappealing. Number 9. Making mountains out of molehills. Complaining about small things is one of the fastest ways to get on a Sigma male's nerves. He's wired to focus on the bigger picture, on the things that actually matter and drive change. So, when someone constantly nitpicks about minor inconveniences, like the coffee being too hot or a slightly long line at the grocery store, it grates on him. To him, this kind of constant grumbling feels like a refusal to face reality, like wasting energy on the least important parts of life. It's not that he's cold or unfeeling. He just can't wrap his head around why anyone would waste time and energy on trivial complaints. Life is full of genuine challenges, things that require strength and patience to overcome. In his mind, the last thing you should spend your mental energy on is venting about your favorite show being delayed by a few minutes. He's seen people go through real struggles, and petty grievances seem like a distraction from what actually matters. Complaining over the little things also signals to a Sigma male that you might not have the mental resilience he values. He's all about finding solutions, focusing on progress, and adapting when life throws a curveball. So when faced with constant complaints about trivial stuff, he sees it as the opposite of what he stands for. It's like you're holding a magnifying glass to every minor discomfort instead of just rolling with the punches. In the end, he's not interested in being someone's sounding board for every minor irritation in life. He's looking for people who can handle the ups and downs without turning every small bump into a mountain. If you're more focused on whining about life's small inconveniences, he's going to take it as a sign to move on to more grounded company. Number 10. Forcing group activities on him. Forcing group activities on a Sigma male is like tossing a lone wolf into a pack and expecting it to howl along. He thrives in his independence and prefers the freedom to choose how and when he socializes. When someone pressures him into mandatory group events, it feels suffocating, as if his personal space is being invaded. He's capable of navigating social settings when he feels like it, but being coerced into something he has no interest in only stirs up resistance. It's not just about the activity, it's about the underlying assumption that he should conform to others' expectations. A Sigma male values autonomy, and when someone disregards that need, it sends a clear message that his preferences don't matter. It's infuriating to be nudged into situations that clash with his natural instincts. Instead of engaging, he'll likely retreat further into himself, avoiding the crowd and the pressure to participate in something that feels forced. This is where the disconnect happens. While others may thrive in a bustling social environment, he finds it draining and unfulfilling when he's not genuinely interested. When he senses this kind of pressure, it's a major red flag. He'll start to question whether those around him truly understand him, or if they see him merely as a puzzle to fit into their picture. The more someone pushes, the more he'll pull away. In his world, connection should be organic, not dictated. If he wants to join in, he'll do so on his own terms. If not, he's perfectly content to carve out his space, where he can recharge and think without the chaos of forced interactions. Ultimately, attempting to force him into group activities is a surefire way to push him further into his shell. He wants to engage when he feels it, not when someone else deems it appropriate. Respecting his autonomy is essential. It's the difference between an enriching connection and a fast track to alienation. In the intricate world of Sigma males, respecting their time, autonomy, and authenticity is crucial for building meaningful connections. These individuals thrive on genuine interactions, and when faced with behaviors like chronic lateness, forced group activities, or pretentious displays of knowledge, they quickly reassess their relationships. It's not just about avoiding pitfalls. It's about fostering an environment where mutual respect and understanding flourish. When you embrace the values that resonate with a Sigma male, you open the door to enriching experiences and deeper connections. So whether you're looking to connect with a Sigma or simply understand their perspective better, being aware of these nuances can make all the difference. If you found this exploration insightful, consider subscribing for more engaging content that dives deeper into the unique traits and dynamics of Sigma personalities. Join our community and stay updated on all things Sigma. You won't want to miss it.